Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road88. We're getting into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, mods. Ray Scavenger. Ray is from the sequel trilogy. This particular one, this particular version of her is going to be coming from the Force Awakening. I think I've made my opinions well known on the sequel trilogy, but essentially, this was the sequel trilogy should have been a carry on after Star Wars Young Jedi Knights, as well as Star Wars New Jedi Order. But literally nothing in the sequel trilogy carried. It was not this Star Wars. It was someone else's Star Wars, obviously. My generation is just not seeing that as Star Wars. Like, not even close. But I guess the younger generation have enjoyed it. I've been actually trying to drum up some ideas so I can lessen my crapping on it. Because it really is hard for my generation to palate this. They just completely destroyed everything my generation knew and loved about Star Wars. And they expect us to still stick around somehow. But I did have a thought last night that I'm just going to throw out there, and if anyone from the Disney is actually listening to this, maybe you take into consideration so you can try to help put a stop to the fan war, and maybe show that you do give a crap about the people who follow Star Wars before y'all. Perhaps maybe do a series or just to kind of appease the original generation that y'all have largely lost. Why not actually do a set of films if you just absolutely have to title them a Star Wars lore? Alright, it's going to be annoying to my generation, maybe just a little bit, but because to us it's not a lore, it's Star Wars. But why not go ahead and actually give us the sequel trilogy y'all promised us and never gave us? Following these books specifically, and perhaps even the Bounty Hunter Wars as well. Like, have a parallel, maybe a parallel section of Star Wars films, kind of drawing us back a little better, going off to stories that we grew up with. Because, for example, for me and many others, many of us have wanted to see Shadows of the Empire, and y'all haven't even come close to trying to show us this. We have had our suggestions and our requests and have been only ignored. And then just spat on every time we point out what is kind of bothering us, instead of actually just, I don't know, trying to see what it is we might like to see. Y'all so caught up with the younger generation, you forget about us. And maybe I'm just having a hard time knowing how to word this, but perhaps do a version, that is following the Young Jedi Knights, the Bounty Hunter Wars, and the New Jedi Order. And if you absolutely have to call it a Star Wars lore, then so be it. But at least give us the Star Wars we wanted. And considering, I really hate this particular idea of you trying to find a way to tie in those two universe concepts. I hate this idea because it feels very Star Trek, and I respect the two entities separately. Star Trek for Star Trek, Star Wars for Star Wars. But you have the world between worlds. You couldn't find a way to tie in, bringing the two universes together. I'm just spitballing an idea, but and it's probably largely crap. But instead of adding on to the fan war, why don't you actually try a new trick and help put an end to it? Anyways, but enough of that. So if you go to swgoh.gg online website, they recommended offense and health as her mods. She's an attacker character. The in-game tip recommends offense and tenacity. If you go to my first video in my mods playlist, I actually provide dictionary definition of the various different types of character roles as well as the various different types of mods, and kind of explain what it is we're doing when we apply these mods to certain types of characters. I know for some people this stuff can kind of go over their heads a little when they look at these. For some people it can be a little daunting. I know it did for my wife. So, that's kind of one reason why I'm helping trying to offer this. For anyone who, is looking at this like, whoa, what am I looking at? So that's why I'm trying to, provide on these. And it's a learning opportunity. And honestly, with a lot of these mods, a lot of it just kind of requires a lot of playing around because depending on the type of opponents you're going up against or how you squad up with certain team members, it kind of does make a difference. But if you go to, basically with the mods, we're just kind of like enhancing their character role abilities where we're cross-training them to serve kind of like a secondary purpose sometimes. But if you go over to their abilities, to raise abilities, we can take a look and see what she's capable of. I am seeing damage and chance. I'm seeing more damage. Originally, I actually had her modded with critical damage and critical chance. And I think it was because of this very reason. Damage and chance. Now, there is offense and both online, swgoh.gg, as well as the in-game tips. Both are suggesting offense. But offense essentially is like pushing the boundaries of something. Whereas with critical damage, you're actually going to do damage. I suppose if you needed someone to help kind of push the line, maybe offense could be helpful. It doesn't look like she had a whole lot to work with other than a stick. I did some staff combat training and some of my martial arts training stuff in my younger years, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do with it. Well, I say there's only so much to do with it. I take that back. There is a lot you can do with it, but still. I suppose if you wanted to go with offense and tenacity, you could. Tenacity would provide, tenacity by definition means not easily torn apart. So it'll allow her to be able to stand her ground a little bit longer while she is pushing. But again, you could easily just go with critical damage, which is, honestly, I'm kind of thinking of going back to that. Because there were several ability references of her having damage abilities. So pulling out of that almost made no sense. So yeah, I think that's what I want to do. That, or you could probably go with critical damage and potency if you really wanted to guarantee that she's pushing. If that's the idea of what we're trying to get out of her. Oops. Problem. Nothing else. Just resort to farming. That was the wrong one. That's right, I probably needed more of those anyways. Going back. Alright, so, coming back in. Critical damage, tenacity is a possibility, so is critical damage and potency. She is an attacker character, so it kind of feels like with critical damage and tenacity, you're giving her the almost like a tank character rolls punch to her. If you want to look at it that way, you could probably that tenacity. You got to give her that durability like a tank roll character. And I suppose tank characters have the ability to push. That's probably where the offense was coming in. It did sound like they were trying to cross train her into a tank roll character a little bit there. But there's other approaches you can take at it. And this could still work just as much, because at least with this you're increasing the her damage abilities that she's doing, not just only pushing them. You know. At least that's the way I'm seeing it. Quickly enhance. Don't forget to, whenever you're applying mods, don't just apply mods. Enhance them, slice them, calibrate. When I get to a more, whenever I go to redoing these mod playlist stuff later, which will probably be much later, but I will get around to that. Hopefully I can get into the slicing and the calibrating as well. Because, I mean, essentially when you go to doing the calibrating, you're kind of adding another objective opportunity with their mods. I mean, you're kind of, once again, you're doing another little cross-training concept with them with the calibration. So, but I'm going with critical damage and tenacity for now. I'll probably mix it up, change it up later. Gonna have to see how it plays out, but because I know when I ran her with that offense and the critical damage, critical chance, kind of feel like I got her butt whooped. But I also gotta build her up more. So, yeah, that's Ray's Scavenger, her mods. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below. And thank you for following. May the force be with you.